Hey, this is Mike DiMartino, co-creator of Avatar.
My name is Josh Hamilton. I'm the writer of this episode.
And I'm Giancarlo Volpe. I'm the director of this episode.
And we're watching the intro.
Yeah, so this episode's called The Chase. I think this was kind of a western-y inspired episode, wasn't it, Josh? Like kind of a...
Yeah, we watched a lot of westerns. I think we saw The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and a show called Shane. And we were in a big western mode when we wrote this.
Yeah, right before this was the Zuko Alone episode where he's like wandering the plains and desolate areas and stuff, and this was kind of a continuation of that sort of thing.
Is that an intentional thing? Like, do you research the westerns because you want to get that feel, or you just happen to be watching westerns at that point in your life?
Well, Aaron wanted to research them, I guess, but
yeah, I think in this case it was like we wanted that sort of feel, and so we were like just checking out some movies to see how they handled it and stuff like that.
yeah, that's a nice shot.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly comes into play, especially in the third act. We'll talk about that later.
Shh, not yet.
Yeah. This is also really, if you want to talk about Josh, this is the first episode where we have Toph as part of the group and how that changes the dynamic.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome that she was like new. You wrote 206, and I loved her attitude. She was so like just quick and kind of a jerk, kind of Sokka's a version of Sokka that's a girl. I don't know.
Yeah.
I loved writing her. It was hilarious.
This is another great episode animated by Moi Animation in Korea, and Kim Song-jin is the director over there. He added some great, hilarious touches to it. I don't know, what do you think, Giancarlo, because you directed this episode and then you send it off to Korea, and then are you always surprised when you see some of the stuff that they add from what you've put in there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always kind of a thing about doing half the show in America and then sending it to Korea. Like, there's always going to be kind of an X factor of what you're going to expect, or what comes back. But I do remember specifically on this episode, I was really pleased with how it came back. Like, I just really thought that they really got the gist of kind of what I was going for in the episode. It turned out really well.
Oh.
There's one thing I really liked about this episode, writing-wise, was it starts out almost, I wanted to say like a filler, almost like, but I don't mean that in a bad way, because it's kind of a character development thing where you kind of see that Toph and Katara are having these problems, and you sort of just assume that, oh, okay, they're going to resolve it somehow by the end of the episode. But what it kind of does, for me anyways, is almost kind of lets your guard down, because you don't expect it to take the crazy turns that it does like a lot later. And I think that was really kind of my feeling when I first read the script, was that you're not really sure where it's going to go, and it made it a good read, which is always a good sign, when I'm starting a new episode. Like, man, if the script is a page turner, then you get really excited about starting to draw it.
Have you ever had a script that wasn't a page turner? Were you like, oh man, I gotta direct this?
Not on Avatar.
Okay.
What I liked about this one, what you were saying, Giancarlo, but it's about our characters are the only characters in it. Like our main cast. They don't go to a town.
Yeah.
That's like they meet someone new. It's like we've met all these characters before, and we just get to see them like with each other and the situation being tired, like they are now, and how this affects them. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, speaking of them being tired, I just kind of saw that we had painted these like dark circles under their eyes as kind of a sign of exhaustion. You see that on top right there. And I was a little worried like how that was going to turn out, but it actually really works. I think it's just subtle enough, and it adds to the whole like building exhaustion that's supposed to be happening to these characters over the course of the episode.
Yeah, they really feel like they get more and more tired, which is cool.
It's a good like stress builder.
I love this animation.
Yeah, this was some hilarious, funny animation.
Sugar Queen?
So did you come up with the line "Sugar Queen," Josh?
I
Where'd that
did.
come from?
I don't know where it came from, but I can remember writing the line and thinking, like, this is that line that's going to get cut somewhere along the line. Someone's going to have a note, and it made it past, we do different versions of, it wasn't in the outline, but the first draft, and it made it past to the table draft, and it made it past to the record draft, and I don't know. I like it.
I think, we started her saying Twinkle Toes, and then I think we needed some alternates for people, so
Yeah.
now she says all sorts of stuff about insulting people.
Katara just said like one of her meanest lines.
Yeah, that was another line too I thought was going to get cut at one
Yeah.
point, because it was like, she can't make fun of her being blind, that seems stupid.
Right.
But I feel like it's okay, because Toph then kicks her butt with earthbending, so they're kind of equally jerky to each other.
I also kind of feel like when brothers and sisters argue, I know Katara and Toph aren't related, but it's that type of relationship. You go for the throat. You're not politically correct when you're trying to insult your brother or your sister. Like you try to find something that's wrong with them and really hone in on that. So
Aaron must have had a great childhood. That was his line. That was another one I thought wasn't going to make it. Of course, now Toph jokes about her blindness all the time.
Okay, forget about setting up camp.
I like this little animation of Sokka. He's like a little worm. He's moving over there.
Because Toph wasn't gonna help anyway.
I noticed that, like, subconsciously working on this episode, because it was so much about them getting progressively more and more tired, I felt like it was kind of affecting me personally when I was working on it. I mean, every episode does kind of wear you out by the time you get to the end of it, but this one especially, it was like, man, I was just yawning a lot, and I had those circles under my eyes.
Wow.
Tell the other warriors that you're fun and perky.
Anyway, whoever's chasing us, they couldn't have followed us here. So now would everyone just shh?
Jack's read of that line was really funny.
Yeah, I think it was written as just a regular shh. Right. Jack DeSena, who plays Sokka, always comes up with kind of funny variations on things. So.
I believe for the record, Andre was like, what is that? What did you just do? And he's like, sure, I don't know, changing it up a little.
Someone had mentioned at some point in a board meeting or something that Lo and Lee were driving the tank
Oh
train.
yeah,
All right.
that is our little secret side idea.
I thought I'd divulge that.
Yeah, you never see him, but Lo and Lee, Azula's teachers from the first episode of season 2. We just imagine they're in there with their goggles, just like driving the tank train, because we're wondering, we don't see anyone. How is it getting around?
What's those lizards called?
We're debating what the name of these things are. We think they're mongoose lizards or mongoose dragons.
Might have been some fancy
Yeah.
name for them. I forget.
I remember kind of in a very geek fashion, like daydreaming why they were riding on these instead of the rhinos, and it was like, well, they're the all-terrain mounts in the Fire Nation, whereas the rhinos are kind of more like the tanks.
Yeah, totally. They're faster.
Look at them. Look at them.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Rhino could
Case in point, right there.
no rhino could jump over.
And I believe they run on water, Giancarlo.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of the reason we needed a new creature, right?
Yeah.
That you wouldn't think would be able to run on water, but later on they needed to. So yeah.
Appa, yip yip.
Actually found reference for that lizard running on water stuff online. I mean, we actually pull a lot of reference off the internet of just, anything from like
The crazy blue
a
fire
color scheme for a cloud for the sky or something to, animation of a horse running or something, and then somehow trying to turn that into an avatar animal.
Sokka will be okay.
This animation of
great.
Sokka is hilarious
I
too.
like that little dangle that his arm did.
Yeah. I love the angle too. Like.
Those girls are there, so we'll just
And-
have to keep flying.
Ben and Jeremy, who do the sound and music, did a great job with this episode. Ben did all the tank train sounds and stuff, and Jeremy does the scoring. And,
Zuko's in this episode.
yeah, Zuko. What's kind of
He's
funny?
so handsome.
He is. I always forget that this is the episode where the kids don't even know who Azula is yet. Like when we were writing it, it's like you have to kind of remind yourself, like,
Right.
like who they are, and the audience knows who she is, but these kids have no idea who's been
Right.
tracking them.
This shot right here, I can remember Brian drawing on the outline. He like drew, just a freehand, and there was, I think I still have it. I'm gonna sell it on eBay.
Appa falling.
Just kidding.
Where Aang is
Upside down
on his head.
Right. Kind of drew it.
Appa's exhausted.
Yeah, all the animation of everyone being really tired is funny. Like Sokka's walk cycle here is really
It's great.
I think they also have like little fir tree
Oh, yeah.
needles in their clothes and hair.
That's so funny.
All right. Everyone's exhausted. Let's just get some rest. No, I want to hear what Katara has to say.
Yeah, this just feels like a bunch of kids who just have not slept. Everyone's on edge, and just kind of, in a way, it's very realistic. It's like, this is what would happen with a bunch of kids running around the world together, not sleeping.
Yeah.
They'd break eventually.
She's cracking.
Yeah.
I love how like Katara's just poking her. Come on, bring it on.
Besides, if there's anyone to blame, it's Shetty over here. What?
The
Aang gets very defensive of Appa.
yeah,
That's his soft spot.
yeah.
You never want to make Aang mad.
Yeah.
Talk about Appa or steal him.
The Appa shedding, I just remembered was an idea from like the first season. Mike, do you remember that? Like,
Oh, I think-
someone came in with the idea of like Zuko finding them because of Appa.
Yeah, that was a really old. That may have
Yeah.
even been from development. Like the
Right.
idea that Zuko could track Appa because he's shedding because it's
Right.
hot out and stuff.
Yeah, and it was great for the springtime.
Yeah.
To show like the seasons changing and how it affects them.
So there's stuff like that, ideas like that we have been there kind of since the beginning or get pitched, and
Right.
they're great ideas, but sometimes they just don't work into the stories we're doing now. So
Yeah.
so we always end up kind of finding a place for them eventually.
It's neat how they all work together, like the Appa shedding, and then them being chased relentlessly, and they just kind of fit together like puzzle pieces. And
I always kind of think that Sokka's drinking coffee here. I think that was sort of the idea. I mean, he probably isn't, but it just looks like he's having an espresso to kind of perk him up.
Yeah, I think it's just water.
Yeah.
I like this washing Appa music. And Sokka gets wet.
Appa's fur was
Classic.
Now that he's clean, no more trail. Are you sure he's okay to fly? He'll be fine as long as we leave his
I like
cell
wet
with all our
Appa too.
supplies.
He's been wet and
I'll be
droopy a
there
couple
sometime.
times.
Make
He
sure
looks
to
cute.
keep the tank off course.
So
That's trouble.
Appa made a big mistake right there. It would have been fine if Appa hadn't hit the tree.
This coming up was, when she sees Uncle. They don't know each other. One's on the good side, one's on the bad side, or uncles, whatever. But it was great. It was a perfect opportunity to like have them talk to each other and not know who they are.
Yeah, that's a really nice moment in this episode coming up when the two of them share the tea.
Yeah, I remember reading that and just loving that scene. So then I ended up storyboarding it because I loved it so
did?
much. Yeah.
That's a very rare occasion when Mike or Brian will actually kind of request to storyboard a section, usually because they're just so busy. And Mike just came in my office one day and said, "Hey, you mind if I do the scene with Toph and Uncle?" And I was like, "That's less work for me."
Well, you
Alright.
storyboarded the whole fight in the end, which is crazy. So
A three-way fight. The scene that just passed, I remember we did a rewrite on it after we saw the animatic, and Aaron said that he wanted to put in, maybe you also did too, Mike, but have May and Ty Lee talk more, because I don't think we heard from them since show 203, which is Return to Amashu.
this part's so westerny. It's great. Just
That looks great.
Yeah.
quiet man in the deserted town.
These are storyboards by Ian Graham, I think.
Yeah.
He did some nice, atmospheric shots.
Yeah, I really like kind of the contrast and the art direction that Brian did and the background painters did in this episode.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like the dark shadows. And really got that sunsetty feel.
This is great, like a Western, you're being chased, and now it's time to, now you're ready, you're going to face them. I
Yeah.
love that. So great.
Nice sunset colors there.
Yeah, that's a crazy Momo screech.
How did they find us? There's occasionally lines like Josh was just talking about that get added sort of later, and I had to do like a temp track, I guess, for a Katara saying how did they find us, and I tried to imitate May, and I always kind of feel bad that she heard that and was hugely insulted by it or something.
I always enjoy your performances, John.
It's funny when you hear animatic and out of nowhere you hear Giancarlo's voice. Oh,
it's a little scarring because every time
there they go. They're running on the water. So they really do run like that too, don't they? With their arms like
they kind of flail their arms
like that.
When I was a kid and saw those, I laughed so hard.
I noticed there's like a slight kind of scissors noise when Katara's like throwing those water blasts at Ty Lee there.
I think because they're like kind of like water discs.
Yeah.
Like sharper.
That's awesome.
It's a little shot that I added in.
I love this part.
This is great.
So she blocking him. Which, really, for Sokka, that just means he loses sensation in his limbs since he doesn't have any bending abilities.
I like that we're kind of saying there's no chi in his head.
Right.
Or his head's just so dense.
Yeah.
It would be more exciting. Oh well, victory is.
The fighting scenes are always really difficult to write. We just kind of write a generic version of it. Sometimes not. But we didn't have that goofy arm thing, which turns out hilarious. So
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we'll work out in the storyboard meetings with the storyboard artists and the directors. Kind of come up with funny actions, or with Kisu for the action scenes and stuff.
Fights sometimes almost kind of have a mind of their own when you're working on him, because it's when you're working on them, because you kind of get characters back into a corner or whatever, and then you're suddenly like, wait, how are they going to get out of this corner? And it's like this organic process.
I'm glad I don't have to think about that.
That was another joke too. I didn't think we'd get through, but I love it. That's when she imitates Zuko.
That's her
This is
first time. Yeah, that's.
And that is totally like you were saying earlier, Giancarlo. Like that's totally the brother sister thing too.
Mhm.
Like only she will just make fun of his scar to his face. So yeah, this is the beautiful Uncle Toph moment where he's making her tea.
There's kind of there's subtle stuff going on here too that may not be completely obvious. He's kind of like testing to see it when he hands her that tea. He's testing to see like how aware she is, because you can kind of tell she's blind, but.
I poured your tea because I wanted to, and for no other reason.
People see me and think I'm weak.
Yeah, it's always nice when we have the opportunity to have characters get together who normally you don't see together in the episodes, or they're the enemies because they're chasing each other, and yeah, that's why I think I love the meaning of the scene about like letting people who love you help you, and
I love you. I just met you.
I like that read.
So, where is your nephew?
I've been trying.
Yeah, Mako is such a great voice actor, and this year we were sorry that he passed away to cancer, but he was such a great. He brought so much to the role of Uncle, and we'll always remember him and honor him with our show.
Great.
Yeah.
So now you're following him.
I know he doesn't want me around right now, but
Yeah, like this. This is perfect. This is just a great opportunity to before they know before the season continues and they know who each other are, they can talk to each other just like strangers.
sharing tea with a fascinating stranger is one of
And you get the idea too that like Uncle, even though he let Zuko go,
Like you said.
he's still worried about him, so he's been tracking him down and just kind of staying on the sidelines until he needs Uncle. So
Yeah, he's been tracking Zuko, who's been tracking Azula, who's been tracking Aang and
everyone's
the kids,
tracking everyone.
and it all sort of comes to this point.
Yeah.
Do you really want to fight me?
Yes.
You can't really tell, but Zuko's ostrich horse ran through really fast. And then we joke that he and the mongoose lizard are fighting somewhere.
He's mine.
So this is where we start the kind of good, the bad, and the ugly
Yeah.
Mexican standoff, they call it, where who's gonna shoot first?
That's great build
That's
up.
And I think that this sequence was about twice as long in the original animatic, but unfortunately it has to get, every show has to fit within 22 minutes, so it was a little shortened, but I think it still works.
Yeah.
And the big surprise, of course, is that Azula, given the choice between capturing the Avatar or attacking her own brother, would rather go after her brother.
I love how she shoots him first. It's so great. So telling.
So doing a three-way fight is not something that I look forward to doing again. I mean, it was exciting hearing about, or like reading about it, but the kind of logistics of keeping track of the characters and everything is just, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I always think, well, there's always exceptions to the rule, but usually the best fights are usually the one-on-one stuff, but I don't know, you did such a great job with this. Let's do some more three-way fights that Giancarlo can direct. I love this little touch, too, that you added where Azula shoots blue fire, but when it then catches something on fire, it turns to regular red fire.
Oh, yeah.
This is a cool little touch.
Just trying to keep it scientific.
Yeah, so did it again, yeah. Like, the idea was like Azula's flames burn hotter or something, and then, but you know, when it catches something on fire, it cools down to regular fire temperature, I guess, scientifically speaking.
Sokka jumping around the corner.
Well, now it becomes more than three-way. There's like 8 people fighting or something.
Yeah.
A lot of it had to be handled by cutting away from the action. Like
They got
you
away.
just do a little shot. Like there's a crazy one like this where you sort of see all 4 of them, but
I thought you guys could
it's like you gain more by what you don't see.
Yep.
That was Toph's way of apologizing, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of them apologizing to each other. Just.
Oh, was that the storyboard you came up with, the uncle just bellying, hitting her with his belly?
I think that might have been a Kisu
Yeah.
suggestion. He always kind of thought that Uncle would fight with his belly. So
It's awesome. So this is the moment right here where he recognizes that she's part of the group, and Azula takes advantage of that moment of weakness.
yeah. This shot right here, I've seen on the internet 1,000 times. I think people really kind of liked the idea of all 4 elements combining to attack, the forces of evil.
This is my favorite shot in the episode right here.
Yeah.
Get away from us!
I remember like posing out the Zuko. As close as I could get to him crying over
Right.
Uncle's, condition, but obviously he doesn't cry, but he's having a hard time.
For the ending, I remember writing some ending where like Toph and Guitar are about to argue, and then they stop, but Aaron came up with this: they just go to sleep, and I think it's the perfect.
It's totally the perfect
Yeah.
ending. You forget that they still haven't slept that whole time.
Right.
So thanks to everyone everyone on the crew who did a great job with this episode.
Yeah, my board artist Bobby Rubio, Ian Graham, and Oreste Canestrelli.
And those people there.
And everyone else. I'll just try to read the credits as fast as I can. Kathy Gilmore.
Thanks, guys, for doing the commentary. It's good times.
Thanks
Thanks,
for having
Mike, Giancarlo.
Good work,
everybody.
people.
For real.
I'm incidentally working on another Josh script as we speak.
I believe it also has a little Toph Guitar argument
Yeah.
here
We're
and
just-
there.
Don't tell anyone, though.
Just repeating ourselves.